Every single month, I have brought you an Ocean City-wide market report to give you all the stats and figures to help you understand what's happening here on the ground in Ocean City, New Jersey. In today's video and every quarter going forward, I'm going to bring you a beachfront specific report. Those of you who are interested in beachfront homes could care less about what is happening in other parts of town. So I want to dive deep on the numbers to give you the information you need so you know not only what's going on here, but what we expect to happen going forward. Let's dive in. Just in case this is your first time here, make sure you hit subscribe down below because I bring you a ton of information here on the real estate market in Ocean City. It's all I talk about here, not South Jersey as a whole. So follow along, make sure you're aware of what is going on here. So we like to start with where we were. We'll cover some numbers and then project where we're going to be in the future. So inventory ended at 19 in October. September was 16, and prior to that, we were still at 19 in August. So there really hasn't been a whole lot of change there, but we're actually 5 less than where we were in October of 2021, just a year ago. So as you'll see in a couple slides, things are trending not too crazily downward in terms of available properties, but enough to not really have any added pressure on some of these sellers. 7 properties on the beachfront have gone under contract in the last 3 months, which is down from 12 in the previous quarter. Now, sample size here is small. And again, we're going to touch on that throughout. So I don't want to read too much into percentage changes. Every single beachfront property is different. So 4 selling over the past 3 months versus 15 in the prior quarter. Take into account that over the past 3 months, we were basically past summer. Prior to that, spring market is always the hottest. So I would expect that we are down in those metrics as we are. The one thing that I want to focus on that I don't really touch on in the main monthly market update reports is the sale to list ratio. So that tends to hold in the high 90s, usually around 100 on the market as a whole. But when we look at beachfront, we tend to drop down a little bit to the mid 90s. So we're actually at 96 in August. We jumped up to 100 in September, but that's only because there was only one sale and it was new construction. And generally speaking, new construction is very, very close, if not right on the money for asking price. There were no sales in October, so there is no additional information there. But in general, that ratio is trending upwards over the past year. Now, in terms of pending sales, and I'm going to see if I can move my head out of the way. Yeah, let's go up here. This is a little bit all over the place. And if I were to overlay this with the Ocean City market as a whole, it would line up fairly well in terms of when we see our spikes, when we see our dips. With inventory where it is now, specifically in the beachfront market, over here, what we've seen between August and now even into November, we have nothing really going on here. Homes going under contract on the beachfront is abnormal. Now, we normally do see things dip down into the month of November, as we've seen each of these years in blue, but market's changed, right? We have to speak in real terms. And as much as fewer homes are going under contract, number one, that's because inventory is lower than it has been over the past 6 months or so. And also the dynamics have simply changed. So let's take this to the next slide where we talk about closed sales. So closed sales, again, very, very similar. Nothing's closed yet in the month of November, but we are expecting 2 properties that are under contract to close there, but much slower than we've seen in the past. Again, we had another goose egg back in October 2021, just like we have in October of 2022. So not a whole lot to see here, but this is one I want to focus on as well as the next chart. So in terms of months of inventory, and I just noticed that it looks like I have this weird little fuzzy hat. It's actually a microphone behind me that I have on a different camera that I use for different videos. So please ignore that if it pops up. We have a downward trending months of inventory here. So even though inventory's fluctuated a little bit, right, they're still generally getting gobbled up. And something I'm going to hit on again at the end of this video is just how rare the opportunities are on the beachfront. And there's a reason for that. So even though we do have 19 total available, right, it would take us 5 months, give or take, to sell out of that, assuming that we continue going under contract, average of 4 a month, which we have been over the last 12 months. So with months of inventory trending downwards, again, like I mentioned earlier, there's just not any real pressure on these sellers to sell, right? They still have, relatively speaking, one-of-a-kind properties. So they're more than content to wait until their number is met. Now, this also shows kind of how strong that is. And I don't want to say the leverage that they have, but we see this list to sale price ratio, or sale to list, I should say, trending upwards over time, just over the past year. Now, I don't have data from before that. This is the farthest I could go back and confidently collect this data without just bringing you a bunch of numbers that I can't really feel good about. So we're going to limit it to the last 12 months. But again, we had no sales back in October 2021, none in October 2022. But in general, right, we're floating around this 95% of the original list price at what these homes on the beach tend to go at. So the fact that it's trending up, I am not going to say, hey, we're going to hit 100 and go above that. I think and I expect that we will stay in the mid 90s going forward. Now, I want to take you through some of the sold and under contract listings. This is a request from the Tips for Buying an OCNJ Facebook group. It's a group I run where I bring a lot of tips, a lot of good information to help people make better decisions. If you want to join that, if you're not already a member, the link is down in the description. Highly recommend checking it out. I don't sell anything, right? There's no pressure. I just want to bring people good information. If you decide we're a good fit and you'd like to work together, we can have a conversation to see if we would be a good fit for me to help you achieve your goals here in Ocean City. Now, there's only 4 sales over the past 3 months, right? Here they are. And they range from 480,000 effectively up to about 3 million. Totally different properties, right? And there are condos, there are bigger condos, just like this 4-bedroom on 3917 Central, which is a new build. Now, we haven't talked about this yet. There's only been one single family beachfront sale this year, and there are none currently available. So the 19 listed properties that are on the beachfront, they're all condos. So single families, there's never been more than 2 active over the past year and a half since I looked. So that really is a complete rarity. So if you're looking for a single family beachfront, number one, you may be waiting a long time. But number two, if that's really what you're looking for, most of these sell off market. Just to be completely transparent with you, they end up from direct marketing. They end up never really making it to the MLS. Sometimes that's because the sellers don't want that exposure out there. And other times it's for various reasons. So if that is something you're looking for, I have kicked off a marketing campaign recently to try to dig up a couple singles for a few clients that I'm working with. If you would like me to let you know if I'm able to find any, or even better yet, if you have a specific need of what you're looking for, reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss working together again. So if you want a direct marketing campaign done for you to help find that perfect home, that is my specialty. So with that said, these 4, again, they sold for roughly 97, 98% when you combine them all, sale to list price. Now, next, we have all the under contract listings. There are 7 of them over the past 3 months. Again, these range same complex down there, top of the waves at 54th and Central, from about 498,000 up to 4.2 million. All of these are still under contract. There's no guarantee they go through. We don't know at what price these are under contract. So it'll be interesting to see in next quarter's beachfront report where these landed. They're great properties. Again, a lot of 4-bedroom units up here. 1619 Wesley was one that caught me off guard just because that unit was priced so far above the previous sales in there, but it's the beachfront unit. There are plenty in there that are not. But that said, these tend to either, we have 2 ends of the spectrum, right? They'll sell in days like 2221 Wesley and 2201 Wesley were under contract in 2 weeks or less. Then we had others like 2930 Wesley and 2105 Wesley that were out there for months, many, many months. So in general, days on market tend to be higher for beachfront. But again, these come up so infrequently. You have to be ready to jump when you see one that works. So where do I expect that we go here? Now, mortgage rates we haven't touched on, and some of you, if you're looking to buy beachfront, this may be a non-issue, right? There are a lot of cash buyers in the beachfront market, but in general, mortgage rates are way up. They're higher than we expected them to be. I personally do know and have a couple clients who have held off on buying on the beach because of the mortgage rates and how much more expensive their payment would be as a result of that. So there's some expectation that these rates are not going to be going down anytime soon, right? Maybe a year or 2 until they do. If that affects you, there are some creative financing programs that a lot of lenders are doing now to help with the brunt of that. Happy to discuss those with you if you're interested. Just reach out. As for inventory, only 10 or 15 hit these, I should say, hit the open market in a given year. So when these do come up, right? If you were to buy one, I can almost guarantee you're not going to be selling it in 2, 3, 5 years. These end up being generational or even multi-generational properties that people hold for decades. So I don't expect a lot of inventory coming up over the next 3 months. That is not the time of year when they traditionally hit the market. That tends to be early to mid-spring, as well as early fall. We're past both of those timeframes. So while I will continue to keep an eye out, I don't expect to see many, if any, hit the market in the coming months. As for prices, again, I would not want to compile statistics on prices. The sample size is simply too small. Whether we use median, whether we use rolling averages, there's a million different ways to cut this. They would all be skewed. So I simply am doing away with that. If you happen to be in the market for, let's say, a 4-bedroom beachfront condo, whether it's first floor or second floor, I'd be happy to run those numbers for you so we could see the trends over time. But again, there's just not enough for me to confidently broad brush with anything in this segment. So that said, we look at the sale to list ratio. So again, I expect these to stay in the mid to high 90 range. Most of the time, these beachfront sellers and owners don't need to sell. And I know you don't need to buy. Nobody does in Ocean City for the most part. So it's a catch-22, but still, they know what they have. This is cream of the crop location, even if it's an old and dated unit, like some of the ones that are now under contract, doesn't matter, right? They have the ocean view. They are literally steps off the beach. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens 6 months from now. But again, over the next quarter, I don't expect a whole lot of activity or much to change besides the ones that are under contract, some of those closing out. So here's my contact information. If you have any questions or if you want to talk directly about what the beachfront market's like, what certain segments of Ocean City are doing, I am the boots on the ground here. I live and breathe this stuff, and really things are changing pretty rapidly. So feel free to reach out if you want to discuss it. But other than that, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Hope you find some other great content on my channel. Make sure you subscribe once again if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next video.